All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're finishing up the interior on the OBS project here. So I've got the seats, of course, mounted, somewhat mounted in place. I've got this first bracket in position. We still have to drill the center holes for it. And of course, if you're wondering, there was an earlier video I kind of hinted what was going on with these, but these are 5th gen Camaro seats, and I've designed and made my own bracket here at the base that'll actually accept the same style bracket that comes out of the floor of the 5th gen. So it's pretty cool because you don't really have to drill, and it actually uses like the dowels and bosses that would have came with the original seat. So what's unique about these is they actually bolt in just at the rear. The front is like a locking tab. So I've made that work for the driver's side. The passenger side, I've got it mocked up with some just Mickey Mouse spacers, but there is a legitimate bracket on the other side. So we're gonna go outside real quick. I'm gonna show you guys what I got to kind of finish this thing off. At the scrapyard the other day, and I've been digging through some trucks on the forums, and I can't really find anybody that's done this 5th gen Camaro bucket seat swap and has put a console in between it. There's a few guys on some forums, but there's like maybe one dude that's done it, and he was using some parts off of a Jeep, and I wanted to keep this thing all GM. So this is actually out of a 2001 Silverado 1500 that would have had buckets in it. So you could probably find this from a 99 to like 02. That's most of what these actually came in. I think any of the new body styles, probably up to 07, would have had this exact console. But this sucker looks amazing in there. And today what we're gonna do, we're gonna lay some paint on it. It's in really good shape. So if you see these things on eBay, people are gonna want $150, $100, and you're probably gonna get something that looks about like this. If you go to your local scrapyard and pull it yourself, 40 bucks. Check this out, it's got storage in here. Nice lid. It literally works perfect with the OBS trucks, and it's kind of a more modern looking console. So, you know, the OBS trucks, I'm gonna show you guys what the interior of a stock OBS with buckets would have looked like. So taking a look at my old man's truck here, this thing has been bucket seat swapped, and this is the console that pretty much all those trucks would have had. Now this is a nice console, don't get me wrong, it flows well with these stock seats, but I don't like how the cup holders are just awkwardly positioned at the rear, because I have a sub in my truck, so this would not work. So, I mean, it works. So if you're just wanting the kind of a factory original look, this is what you would get if you bucket seat swapped your truck. And he is 5-speed too, so there's obviously no issues there. We'll probably do some more videos on Dad's truck later, but it is a 4.3 V6. It's basically just his daily driver, and it looks awesome. All right, guys, so this is what I'm going to use to paint this. This is a Duplicolor vinyl and fabric. And of course, it's going to be sort of a matte look. It's going to match the seats pretty well. One thing I am going to do, I have cleaned this thing. I've used Dawn on it. So it's tremendously better compared to what it come out of the truck, but we are going to go ahead and prep the surface. I did put some cleaner on it, and we definitely need to get that off there because that slick kind of cleaner is not going to let this stuff bond to it very well. Another thing to keep in mind, make sure that you're using this above 60 degrees. Right here where we're at is right at 60. So I picked a good day to make this thing happen. So let's go ahead, throw some paint on this, and get ready to mount it in a truck. Look at that. That's looking a whole lot better, boys. Still drying a little bit, but just starting out with real light coats, you know, letting that kind of bond, and come back over it and hit it again. You know, I'll probably do maybe one more coat on this thing, but that is way better. It actually looks like brand new after using this Duplicolor stuff. So if you guys are on the fence about painting stuff, definitely check out Duplicolor. I'm actually not sponsored by them, but I have used a ton of their products, especially in the White S10. If you've seen that build, you know that we actually dyed the whole interior with this stuff, and it worked really good. All right, guys, so I'm getting ready to actually mark off where everything goes. As you can see, I've made a way to power the seat. I don't have these hooked in all the way yet. So here's a quick way to tell what side's power and ground. If you look at the back of the Camaro seat, the in-feed wire is the hot side and the opposite side is the ground. So as long as you've got two terminals connected, I built me a makeshift harness going down to this battery, and that'll allow you to move the seat around so you can go ahead and mount your holes. As you can see here, just one bolt in each side. That's all it's going to take. So I'm going to go ahead now and lay some tape down to kind of give myself an idea for how far apart these guys need to go, and then we'll be ready to drill. So let's go ahead and get this carpet marked and hopefully have these installed. All right guys, here's a quick look at these brackets that we made. As you can see, here's how they work. We're gonna pick up the truck's existing bolt holes. I've got this one bolted into position. You can see right there, she is bolted in, getting ready to do the passenger side, or the inner tub here. I went ahead and took a transfer punch and marked where I'm gonna go. So we're gonna go ahead and start cutting the carpet up and drill our holes for this, and then bolt our seat down. All right guys, so I went ahead, and I've got these holes now drilled. Kind of hard to see, but they are there. So if you're wondering how I did that, I actually set this bracket up here. Luckily it made an indentation in the floor where I'd been driving it around, would just kind of mocked up. It actually gave me a template. Used a transfer punch, come through these holes that I made, knocked a hole in it, used a starter bit, and then sent it the rest of the way through. You see there's my hole. And we're gonna put an M14 by 1.5 down in there, just like the factory would have used on this side. So now I could go ahead, toss some bolts in this thing, and hopefully the seat will line right up. So let's go ahead and get this thing in there. So a little side project going on in the shop right now. 55 Bel Air, put new springs on it. It's kind of leveled it out. Front coil springs, so I have to change it out on it. So that color looks good in the sun. It's got a Corvette engine in it, 4L60, I think 4L65E. All right, so we got the passenger seat here in the floor now. We've got the driver's side finished up. Everything did go into place nice and smoothly here. Everything looks good. Seat works. Also went ahead and adjusted this seat. So the benefits of the 5th gen seat is you don't really have to have a huge bracket to make this work. You can just use the power motor and raise it to the position you want to get to. So all that's now done, and we're working on the passenger side. I've got this one side mounted in, and I've run into a serious issue here with the tunnel. So guys, on these OBS trucks, as you can see here, I was crashing into this really hard. All right guys, so here's my bracket proposal. I already have this thing drawn up, but I don't actually have the print with me. It's an older version of what I've got in the driver's side, basically, I'm reusing. So what I'm going to do is put all the same geometry into this single version. So how these are offset, I'm going to take that away. And I actually had the other ones machined. Since I'm in quarantine, I can't go do that. So I had the other ones machined, but we're in a little bit of a hurry here. And actually, I just measured this grinder wheel, and it's the same exact width as the version that I've got here. It's literally going to make the same cut. So what I'm going to be able to do is start this slot and come across, and then we're going to go to the rear, mark our holes, and drill. So basically it's going to do the same thing. It's just going to be slimmer, and this should allow me to bolt the seat in and rest right up against the tunnel. I think the worst case, we may have to come in here and do some notching, but I think I can handle that one for today. Just finished drilling the rest of the holes out for the bracket, and I come up with a kind of very crude way to put those slots in that I was showing you. So I ended up using a grinder to kind of start my slots. So I started working the grinder, basically just creating those slots, made a template, put on top of that piece of tubing, got it where I wanted it, then took a die grinder, neatened it up as much as I could. I didn't want to film any of this just because it was so crude, and I really didn't like how I had to do it. But I don't have, obviously, I don't have a milling machine or anything to do this properly. Now the other two brackets, when we done these, we actually had access to a mill, so we just chucked them up in a vise and actually done it for real. Of course, this time it was a little bit different because I don't have access to that anymore, and I didn't really feel like paying an arm and a leg just for this one more bracket I had to do. So I'm going to show you how it turned out. Alright, so what I'm not going to show you is the top half and how bad it looks, but you can see there's the locks going into place. Everything is bolted down in the rear. There's your inside tube. So now I think we're ready to test fit this thing and see how it worked out. Like I said, you can see how kind of crude it is. I just did not like how I had to do it, and I didn't even want to film it because it was just gruesome. But as you can see, a grinder will do it. You just make your two slots down through there, and it doesn't even have to be anything super duper tight. as long as it's into position and it holds. And that one's going to work out just fine for the center. It's pretty tight. It's not going anywhere. Now the other one is precision milled, so it's going to do a lot of the holding. But I also even drilled the hole for the stud down there. You can see the hole and the bolt's already in it. So let's go ahead and toss this in and see if it's going to clear the tunnel. All right, so just test fitting the seat here. It is very, very tight. Now keep in mind I have it ran all the way forward so I can drop my bolts into the back side. Check this out. So with the new slim bracket that I just did today, it sits in here. So far so good. Now that's a sub wire there. I've got some cleanup to do back here, but yeah, this is definitely going to work out perfectly. Let's go to the other side and see how close it hugs the tunnel. Wow. Look at that, boys. Literally right against the tunnel, but it just fits. I mean, if I hadn't put that little bit of angle on it, there's no way it would have worked. So it's another day out here in the shop. So went ahead and drilled the holes inside the truck. We've got everything ready to mount. However, there's one more thing I want to do just to go ahead and give this thing every chance of fitting. What I'm actually going to do now is slot these holes. And all that's going to do is allow a little bit of adjustability from side to side, just so that way it doesn't have to be completely accurate when you drop this in and you won't have to fight it. It's going to allow me to basically just set the seat on top, just kind of shimmy everything where I want it, and then we'll torque it down. So, but I did go ahead and drill the holes in the floor. That went pretty smooth, marked everything. And so far the rear one dropped in, but I noticed the front one was hugging just a little bit. This is not the most elegant looking bracket I've ever made. Probably wondering why it looks like it's on an angle, and that's because it keeps away from the tunnel. But I didn't have a machine shop to do this, so it's not the best looking thing in the world, but it's going to get it done. And the slots actually are functional. The seat drops right on, so this thing does work pretty good. This is really all you need is these two slots for the front of the Camaro seat, and then of course I've got the bolts here representing the holes in the floor, and then the one at the back is basically bolting the seat in. So we're gonna go ahead and slot this out now, and then we'll jump back over to the truck, hopefully be installing the seat today. All right guys, so I was able to use those slots to my advantage, and the seat dropped right in. Now I'm not gonna lie, this secondary bracket that I made was totally done like with a die grinder, some basic just drill bits, nothing fancy. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you guys is that if you actually don't have a working machine shop, you actually could make these out of some 2-inch tubing and a little bit of time in the garage, and you could make it happen. So there it is, bolted down and installed. Now I am going to run the seat of course back to its normal position. I've got my battery rigged up here. Going on back. I'm going to get in here and adjust it just a little bit, but oh yeah, this is nice. Really digging the way that this truck sits with these seats in it. It definitely like completely changes how the truck feels. I mean, this thing is this feels great in here. This thing is awesome. You just feel like, I don't know, I feel like these seats should have come in here from the factory. I mean, these are pretty awesome. So overall, I gotta say I'm pretty happy with them. And if you're thinking about doing a set of these seats in your OBS, I say go for it. See, now my bracket that I made is literally hugging the tunnel, so it's like as far over as you can possibly get without like notching the tunnel. So that's the other advantage to this bracket that I've made, is that I didn't have to cut the floor up to do it. And actually I didn't even take the carpet out of the truck to do it. It was pretty tough doing it that way, but it probably would have took me like an entire week just to getting all this apart and get it done. And I just didn't want to fool with the carpet and the mess that was going to come with it. So there you go, guys. There's the update on the truck. All right, so there you have it, 5th gen bucket seats in a OBS Silverado. I hope you guys enjoyed this upload. I will be doing another upload on the console. I just have it kind of actually just sitting in here for now. I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do with it yet, if I want to bolt it to the floor or make my own brackets. So I'm going to save that one for another episode. But this does give you a good first look at how to do this and what it's going to turn out like if you choose to go this route. So I'll show you guys the seating position. The bolster is a little bit higher, and you may find that if you're in a lowered truck that you're going to have to use this to get out. And actually I have to use this to get out now because the bolsters, you'll ruin the bolsters sliding in and out. So I do kind of place my hand here as I'm getting out. But yeah, it sits really nice. You can see my sniper really well. I can reach the shifter. Of course, this is a shifter I also made. Actually turned out pretty good. Like I said, this is not bolted down yet. I haven't fully decided how I want to go about that, because if I ever put a 6-speed in here, I'm pretty sure that they can reuse the stock location for the shifter, but if it ever changes, I don't want to make anything permanent to the carpet, like cutting it up, putting holes in it, just in case something in this transmission ever dies and I put like a, you know, Viper T56 Magnum or something in here. I don't want to have to deal with, you know, doing carpet again, because the interior in this truck is actually pretty mint. It's been redone now for, I guess, probably 10 years, but I took really good care of it, and then I did the dash skin cover. But you can see 355,000 miles on this thing, so it's definitely been around for a while. But this thing turned out really good, I'll have to say. It was a bit of a fight to get them in here, but man, it's so worth it once you get them in here. It totally changes the truck. Let's take a look from the outside. So there's what they look like. Absolutely beautiful. Love the way they turned out. The brackets are pretty neat. They don't really stand out too much. It doesn't capture your eye right off the bat. So I'll probably pull those brackets back out someday and paint them and make them look really nice. But I'm just anxious to drive the truck for now. So that's probably where we're going to cap this one off at. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And if you did, go ahead and give this video a big like. And drop a comment down below and let me know what you would like to see happen next with this thing. I've got some more plans for it, so it's not totally done yet. And, you know, I've hinted some suspension upgrades to you guys. One of the big things I'm looking at next would be coilovers. So if you guys have any input on coilover selection, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.